How do you send data from your Google Tag Manager to Facebook's Conversion API? In this video, we're going to find out. All and more coming up. Hey there, Measure Geeks. Julian here, back with another video for you today. And we are actually live, so there are a few people joining us already, and they have the privilege of getting their questions answered. So if you want to be on live, if you see this on the replay, then definitely hit that subscribe button, because you'll get notified once we go live again in the next run. So today we want to talk about how we can send data from Google Tag Manager to Facebook's new endpoint, the Facebook Conversion API. And yeah, let's just get started with a little example here. So here in my in my Google Tag Manager server-side container, and you might already know that you can install something called the Facebook pixel onto your website. I have done this here through Google Tag Manager, and this is now installed on my website here, and it's sending then data to Facebook's ads system. And we have a page view here. Now, Facebook has come up with a new way to send actually data into the system, and this is the Facebook Conversion API. So if you click here on Manage Integration, this is my, what's it called? The Data Source Manager, the Events Manager. So inside of the Events Manager, go to Manage Integrations, and here we have this new Conversion API that we can set up. So we have already set up a browser pixel on our website. Now we can set up this Conversion API. So what is this Conversion API all about? Well, the Conversion API is an authenticated endpoint that you can send data into, like the Facebook pixel, but the big difference is that you actually use it when you send data server-side. So from another computer that is presumably on the web, you send data into Facebook's ad system, which has become quite important because all of the things that we are doing in the browser, like installing our Facebook pixel, have become under scrutiny because of privacy regulations, browser protections, but then also the updates that have been done on the iOS side. And Facebook now opened up this new way to send data in, which can be more reliable. Doesn't have to be necessary, but it can be more reliable. Why? Because you are sending data actually from a computer that is in the cloud or in the internet to your Facebook's ads account, and not from the user's browser. Now, when we install a Facebook pixel on our website, we are essentially installing a way for the browser, when the user loads the page, to send data off to our Facebook ad system. And this is under scrutiny. So now we have a new way to actually send it directly from our server. What is a server, for example? Well, if you're running an e-commerce store, you might be running Shopify or WooCommerce. If you're running a blog, you might be running WordPress, or you can choose any of the other content management systems out there. These are installed normally on servers, and they create your website in essence, right? So when somebody types something into a URL bar, they actually request from your server the HTML page, and it gets downloaded to the page. The page gets downloaded to your browser, and the browser then sends out that information to Facebook. Now, what we are trying to achieve is actually to take our server where our CMS is installed, so WordPress, Shopify, or any other CMS out there, to send data from there directly to Facebook's ads system. And this is done via the Conversion API. So that's why it actually exists. Now, the question is, how can I send data from Google Tag Manager, which is installed on my website, to the Facebook Conversion API? Well, that's actually not the intended way to doing things. There are workarounds to actually doing it, but what you need to remember is that Google Tag Manager is a client-side software that gets downloaded. It's a container that gets downloaded to the user's browser. Now, Facebook wants you to send data server-side, so you would actually need to have another computer that sends data to the Conversion API. Luckily, the GTM team has been hard at work as a new version of Google Tag Manager, which is called Google Tag Manager Server-Side. So this is made for server-side tagging, and this is a server or a machine that you can set up in Google Cloud's platform or any kind of other hosting service that actually supports this. And you can install Google Tag Manager server-side on that machine. And then Google Tag Manager runs on that machine, and it's specifically made for that to send in data to a authenticated endpoint or to any kind of other endpoint. You can also send data to Google Analytics 4, for example, directly from that Google Tag Manager server-side instance. Now, we need to all set this up. I want to show you how I have done this. So you might see the colors already. Right here, I have something called GTMC, which is Google Tag Manager Client. This is actually running on my website. So it's installed on my website. I have also something in red here called Google Tag Manager Server-Side. I'm not going to go into how I actually set this up all. This is for another tutorial. Today, I want to show you how we can pipe data from our website to Google Tag Manager server-side, and from there to our Facebook conversion API. So first of all, let's see how Google Tag Manager server-side works. So it kind of looks the same like Google Tag Manager client-side, with the big difference that there is something called clients here, and this is a specific concept that we'll discover in a second here. So when we go over and into the preview mode, well, it's not going to open up our website. It's actually going to open up a preview mode on our tagging server. So I have a custom domain here called track2.measure.school. So this is the URL that I actually can send now my tracking requests to. This is the server on the internet. I can just show you how I can open this up as well. This didn't work, the copying. Let me see. So I'm just going to go here. It gives me an error, 400 error, because I don't have any request sending back. But then inside of my instance here, we should have a request. That's not true. Let me see. Yeah, now we get a request here. So here we have a request that I just sent in, and this is data. It doesn't hold any information, but I just requested this URL from another server, just like a website that you might know. And here I have an incoming request. Nothing is actually done, because what we need to configure now is something called a client. Now, client claims a request that comes in, and with this claimed request, we can then send out tags, which we don't have just yet. So let's first look into the client here. We can create a client. There are not many clients out there by default. Google Analytics 4, Universal Analytics, Google Tag Manager, and so on. What we will use in our example is Google Analytics 4, actually. This is the client that can claim Google Analytics 4 requests. So if we send specific requests into Google Analytics, into our server-side instance from Google Analytics 4, this client can actually read this. So I'm just going to call this GA4. This is our GA4 client. I'm going to save this. Okay. Now you might be asking yourself, okay, how do I send now data into this server-side instance from my actual website? Well, you still need to have a web tag. So tag management is not going away in that sense. You are sending data from the web tag. I'm already have a Facebook pixel installed here, but what my Google Tag Manager server-side instance requires is actually a Google Analytics 4 hit. And this is the way to actually send this over, because the Facebook pixel can't quite do it yet. So what we will do is actually create a new Google Analytics 4 configuration tag. And this will be our Google Analytics 4 config tag for the page view. And the measurement ID, we don't actually need to enter something here. I don't know if they will. Yeah, let's see what will happen. We can, now there is this new field called send to server container. And here I can enter a server container URL. So this is my URL that I have for my server container, because now I want to pipe all my Google Analytics 4 requests to this new endpoint right here. Let's see if I can just simply save this. Oh, I need a trigger. So I will add a trigger here, which is all pages. I need to have a measurement ID. I think it starts with G. Just gonna do a fake one here. And HTTPS. Yep, that should do it. So let's see if this works. Gonna preview this. And now I should be sending a Google Analytics 4 page view to my new instance. So I'm not sending this to Google Analytics 4. It's actually doesn't do anything in Google Analytics 4. it sends it to my server-side instance, which has now a new collect call here. I don't know, this one is not updated. So here there is actually a payload that is Google Analytics 4. And this is an incoming request. Now, what we would need to do is to claim this request. I didn't preview this correctly. So you need to always click on preview again to reload this. And let me send off this request again. So here we have our request. And this time we have a client that actually claims that request. Now, the purpose of that client is to read all that information from the request, and then it puts it into a data model. So we will be able to use that information in our tags that we now want to send out. Now, we don't have to send out a Google Analytics 4 tag. Actually, we're going to send this to our Facebook conversion API. So what I'm going to do now is inside of our Facebook Business Manager here under integration. So again, we have our Facebook pixel ID. I have already, that's where we want to send this. This is also information. Well, let's first go ahead and see what information we need. So inside of Google Tag Manager, we're going to go over to tags. And here I'm going to click on new. And, okay. Maybe that's something I should explain. So if you don't see the Facebook pixel template, you need to go over to templates right here and then search the gallery under the tag templates. And here you will find the Facebook conversion API tag. This is by Facebook official. So they have built this, and it does some stuff in the background to the request that is coming in. So I've installed this template, and then under my tags, I will now be able to add a Facebook conversion API tag. Now we can see what information they actually want. They want the pixel ID, which we have. So we have it right here. They want to have the, what else? The API access token. So that's something you can find. I will go to manage integration and then go to manage right here. And it will take us through the setup here. And here we can generate an access token. Now this token is like a password that you can use in order to send data in. So now everybody can send data into your account just by knowing your pixel ID, which can actually pollute your information. You can now have a password that nobody knows because it's actually stored on your server-side instance. And nobody else can read this unless they have access to your Google Tag Manager account. Then we can set up the test event code. Now the test event code is for testing this all. So what I will go and see, let me see, finish this here. Let's go over to, no, we need to go here and test event. And so here we have our test event code. So this sometimes changes, so you might need to refresh this from time to time. We'll put this in here, and now we have this tag already set up. We can choose the action source. So where is this information sent from? And we can say, well, our data comes from the website itself. So we'll choose website here. And then we can say which trigger we actually want to fire this on. Now, it works a little bit different than inside of a web container. We actually have a request that comes in, which comes from Google Analytics 4. So what we can do is to say we want to trigger this on a custom event. The event right now that we want to trigger this on is page view. So in our case, it would be page. Let's go view. And we can obviously filter this if we have any other filters. If you don't want Google Analytics 4 to fire this on certain page views, for example, you can filter this here. And we're not going to do this right now. Let's just call this GA4 page view. Save this. Give this a name, obviously, Facebook Conversion API tag. And let's save this. So now we have a Facebook Conversion API tag. And if I go to preview, our container loads again. And now if I send off this data, my server-side instance should get a new request. So Facebook Conversion API request. Here's the request that came in. Google Analytics 4 client claimed it. And then it sent off a Facebook conversion API. A lot here, to be honest, is happening in the background. The data that we are sending over standardized via Google Analytics 4 tag is now parsed into what Facebook conversion API tag needs and is then sent over with that data requested. Now, inside of the Events Manager, we see here that there is a new page view, but it's coming from a browser. So that is not correct. Let me see. We have here our ID. The ID is completely wrong. So this is the ID. I guess I was on the different pixel. We have our API access token. I probably need to change this around as well. The other way to get the API access token is to go to settings here. And then we have our conversion API here. We have our code. And then we also need to have our test events code again. So go with this one right here. Okay, now it should be all updated. Let's preview this. Go back to the page, reload this. And once that's done, we have a page view that sends a Facebook conversion API request that sends it now to a server side through the server API, conversion API to Facebook. So we see here that this is came through server, and it has the information that Facebook would already need, the URL, that it's coming from website, the browser ID, the IP address, and the user agent. So what have we done here? It's simply we relayed or proxied the request not to send it to Google Analytics 4 or to Facebook directly. We are sending it first to the server-side instance and then to Google Facebook's conversion API. So that is already in essence it. But what you might see is that it says here duplicated. So when we send over this page view, we have, well, it says deduplicated, but it's not really. So what we send over here is, because we still have our client tag installed on our Google Tag Manager client-side instance. So we have our Facebook pixels sending data, and this is can still be seen on the website via the Facebook Pixel Helper. So this is actually still sending. We are actually sending two page views now, right? We're sending one via the Facebook Pixel and then via the server-side instance. And that's why we also get two events here. Now, this is actually the preferred way of Facebook to send data in, to have a parallel tracking, so to say, from your Facebook Pixel still and your server-side instance, because they want to get as much data as possible. But because of all the browser protections, not always will you have two events coming through, because maybe an ad blocker will block this one, but this one will come through. So in order to tell Facebook that these are actually the same page views, you would need to utilize a event ID. This is the column right here, in order to tell them exactly these two page views came from the same source. They are the same thing. And in Google Tag Manager, there's an easy way to actually install this. So what you can do inside of Tag Manager here is to install a variable called Event ID. So under variables, you can go over here and click on New. And then variable configuration. And here we have our community template gallery. And if we type Event ID, we have the one by Markus Bersch. So I already tested it out. It's a good variable. We just add this in. Doesn't quite do anything for us yet, because we now need to configure it right here, which is no real configuration. I don't know, sometimes just doesn't want to work. So I'm going to go Event ID again. And so now it loads it in. No configurations required. Just going to call this Event ID. So we know that this is an Event ID. And now we need to add this actually, one, to our Facebook Pixel that is installed on our client side. And there is a special field in the Facebook Pixel template. Down here under More Settings, you have Event ID. We can just slot in our variable. And the second part is to use to send this also to our server-side instance. And here we need to use a little trick because this is a template for Google Analytics 4. There is no template for Facebook yet that can actually, where you can send this data to another URL. So we'll use field to set option. And here we're going to put an event ID and as the value as well, our new event ID. So let's save that and preview this again. And now we're sending a Facebook pixel and we are also sending a server-side instance. This time we're sending the Facebook pixel with the event ID. Let me see. We have a container loaded page view. So here's an event ID. This is just a random number, but this random number, it's not random. He has built in some thought into this, but this number is exactly the same number that should also be inside of the Google Analytics 4 config tag right here. So here we have this config tag that sends data to our server-side instance. And then inside of our server-side instance, we should obviously also be able to then pick this up via our request here and then pass this into our Facebook conversion API. So I don't know if you can actually see this. Facebook, not really. Let's see if the events manager picked this up correctly. We have here an event ID. Yeah, this sent correctly. And then also in the browser instance, we have a new with a Facebook event ID. And this whole page view was now deduplicated because all of these have the same number. Now, don't make the mistake to have the same number per page view. You need to have a same number per event. So if you would send, or if we reload this page here, this should actually be a different event ID because this needs to be unique per event and not that you're sending over the same event ID over and over again. That's also a mistake that I have seen before. So now we have another request right here, and this is actually a completely different ID than this one right here. I don't know if you can see this. And this is a unique event ID. So now we have sent over our Facebook pixel and our Google Analytics 4 and deduplicated it. This is very important if you send data directly from Facebook pixel and from Google Analytics 4 at the same time in order to deduplicate this. Okay, you can send obviously other events in, like for example, a transaction event or a button click or any other event that you want. There is a bit special syntax to this. So in the Google Analytics 4 tag, you would need to have certain parameters that you add in. And in your server-side instance, then they will be transported over to your Google Tag Manager or the Facebook Conversion API tag and then sent on. A lot of this heavy lifting is already done by the Facebook Conversion API tag template that is installed here. So they can pass certain data, but some data you need to be very wary of how you send that in. You can also send in personal information like the email address, but this needs to be hashed. And yeah, there's a lot more that you can customize in order to send your full stack of your Facebook pixel events over via the Facebook Conversion API. We won't cover this today, but it's a good exercise if you want to port everything over. And I would recommend to go through the post by Simo Ahava, who has written a great post on all the different configurations that you can make to these different tags. So check that out at his blog. Some caveats as well. What I didn't really talk about, Google Tag Manager server-side actually costs money. So that's something you would need to budget for if you want to use server-side tagging with Google Tag Manager. And yeah, other than that, I don't have anything left right now. This is it with my little tutorial here. I hope it cleared up and got you started on how to think about server-side tagging with server-side, Google Tag Manager server-side, and how to utilize this with the Conversion API. Obviously, one thing I forgot to say is that you need to publish all of this if you want to take it live to your website. Sometimes I get these questions of like, oh, my tracking isn't working. I followed all your steps. And yeah, I didn't quite say that you need to submit a version and then publish this all and I'll take this live on your website. So definitely do this as well. Cool. All right. This is already it with this little tutorial. If you found this useful, then I'd love from you a thumbs up. And if you are interested in sending data via the conversion API via Zapier, we have a video right here that Cedric did for us as well. Now, my name is Julian. Till next time.